Hey guys, part of having food intolerances is that holidays suck. So a lot of people don't get food intolerances. They don't understand how bad it can be, and that sometimes just a little bit is not okay. So I have found that I have to supply a lot of the ingredients for meals so that I can eat too instead of just watching everybody eat. So that's what I've been up to. I've been making broth, which I'll show you in this video later on, because store-bought broth is no good. But one of the recipes is apparently only good with bouillon cubes and not the actual broth. So I had to go find some bouillon cubes. Now these aren't great, but they're not as bad as your standard grocery store ones. But I really would not pick this. So I'm gonna be sick from this. Hopefully it's not too bad. I have had to supply everyone with sugar because I can't have your basic sugar. And honey and maple syrup apparently are not okay because it has to be solid. So I've ordered maple sugar. This one I get from Costco online. Maple sugar is ridiculously expensive because it requires a lot of sap to boil down even to syrup, and then you have to boil down even further to get it into sugar. But I supply everyone with maple sugar. It tastes really good. And apparently the recipe that calls for bouillon cubes, can't use real broth, also calls for dried bread, whole wheat bread. So I struggle with whole wheat anyways, but I can't do like the sugar, and whole wheat bread has a lot of sugar, so I had to make some. And I had to dry it, so it went in the dehydrator for 5 hours so that I could supply them with bread that wouldn't make me sick. So there's that. Now, let's get into broth. It's kind of a pain in the ass to make if you're doing it traditional. I don't work from home. I don't stay home. So simmering for 24 hours on the stove is not okay. So this is what I do.
So I used fresh veggies for this. It says to use scraps. A lot of people say that, but I use fresh veggies. So I did an onion, 3 carrots, 2 sticks of celery, some leftover garlic from what I had before, and salt, pepper, and some bay leaves. I had my chicken carcass from my roasted chicken, frozen it, and I had one of these awesome little stock making bags. So I put all of that in that bag, tied it up, and put it in my pressure cooker. I filled the pressure cooker with water. It took about 10 cups of water to fill the pressure cooker. And I set it for the soup one, high pressure, and 2 hours. And then I let it sit for half an hour before I took it out.
Hey, so I completely forgot to record the taking out of the broth and packaging it. Oops. But I managed to make 3 batches of broth. 2 I gave to my brother. 1 I'm trying to convince my dad to take and use instead of those bouillon cubes, but we'll see. So with the broth, I let it cool down. The first batch I had in that bag, so I was just able to, with tongs, take the bag out, and then all my solids were in that thing, and then I filtered it through one of those nut milk bags into my jars, and that worked out well. That was the only bag I had though, so for the other 2, I dumped it out of the Instant Pot into a colander, like a mesh metal one, and under that was a big bowl, and then I dumped it from the bowl into the jars. So I went through the colander, and then I still went through the nut milk bag when I was putting it in the jars, just to get out any pepper or herbs that happen to not get filtered out by the colander. So it makes a nice clear liquid. I have been taking full advantage of the freezer that is outside. So my brother has both his batches. That was not an issue. He actually provided me bones to make more batches, so that was very helpful. I still can't convince my dad to come get his, and I haven't been well enough to go out. But I'll show you what one batch made for me. This is one batch. So I have some smaller jars. These are all leftover jars. Well, these 2 are from stuff I've bought, and those 4 are my canning jars, because I ran out of extra jars. Hopefully I get my canning jars back. But this is what one batch made. So I think I counted it to be about 3.5 liters. Yeah. It's frozen. It's a little bit of fat on top. So that's my broth.